I stood at the entrance of the dimly lit VIP room, my phone in hand. My eyes locked on Shawn Turner as he gently traced the girl's jawline with his fingertip, like someone playing with a kitten. The girl responded with a flirtatious giggle, acting completely docile. They were quite the pair. One was my childhood sweetheart who had been discussing marriage with me, and the other was a struggling student I had financially supported through school. Inside the room, several of Shawn's close friends were lounging around. Noticing Shawn's relaxed demeanor, they teased him, "Man, Shawn, you really know how to live it up. You've got that gorgeous Rowena waiting at home, and here you are with another beauty. Shawn, won't Rowena flip out if she finds out about this?" one of them asked. Shawn remained completely unfazed, merely clicking his tongue. "Rowena? Yeah, she might be a bit of a hassle, but she'll just throw a little tantrum. That's all." His best friend, Zachary Moore, chuckled. "That's true. Rowena loves you so much. Even if she does get upset, you'll calm herself down in no time." Shawn played with his lighter, his tone casual and dismissive as he said, "She can't live without me." His confidence was overwhelming, and I realized I was probably the one who had given him that assurance. I glanced down at the diamond ring in my hand, the one I had planned to use to propose to him. Suddenly, it felt meaningless. I could not help but think bitterly that the past 10 years of my life would have been spent better raising a dog. Back when we were kids, Shawn would always tell me, "Nana, we're going to get married when we grow up, so you have to stay by my side forever. Don't you ever leave me." That single promise had kept me by his side for 10 years. From 15 to 25 years old, from my first crush to my current mature self, I had revolved my life around him. He had transformed from a jealous teenager who would get upset over love letters in my backpack to a man who now claimed he was bored with me. However, he never realized something: I did not need him. I only needed a capable man to have a child with and carry on the Iverson family legacy. As I turned to leave, Zachary's sharp eyes caught me. "OMG. Rowena. What are you doing here?" That single exclamation drew everyone's attention to me. Shawn looked at me, too, but he did not release the girl in his arms. He maintained that subtle smirk with an inexplicable certainty, sure that I would be heartbroken over him and that in this relationship, I was the one desperately seeking his approval. I had initially planned to leave quietly, but I changed my mind when I saw the smug look on his face. I stepped into the room and walked straight to Shawn. The young girl in his arms noticed me and timidly called out, "Rowena." I let my gaze linger on her for a moment before asking with feigned confusion, "And you are?" Blair Newman froze for a moment, seemingly embarrassed. Then, she pressed herself closer to Shawn, mumbling, "Mr. Turner." "Just kidding. I remember you," I suddenly said with a light laugh. "You're that shameless woman I sponsored right into my boyfriend's arms." Blair's expression instantly froze. Meanwhile, Shawn frowned and snapped, "Rowena." His tone carried a warning, a reprimand, as he added, "Can't you speak nicely?" I nodded. "I can." Shawn let out a scoff, exchanging a glance with the others. They all had the same smug, knowing look. They were used to seeing me lower my standards for Shawn, always bending over backward for him. In their eyes, I was nothing more than a pathetic, dependent shadow following him everywhere. Shawn's expression softened slightly as he asked, "Why are you here?" "To give you a gift," I replied. Shawn's face showed hints of impatience as he said, "Leave it and go." His confidence stemmed from the fact that for the past 10 years, I had been giving him little presents every few days, and no matter how coldly he treated me, I never got angry. I just kept coming back with more gifts, supposedly due to my deep love for him. Without hesitation, I raised my hand and slapped him hard across the face. The sharp crack of the slap cut through the dim lighting and loud music of the VIP room, surprisingly distinct. Everyone froze as if someone had hit pause. "Rowena Iverson," Shawn roared in anger. "Gift delivered, Mr. Turner." "Until we meet again," I replied with a sweet smile, waving at him before walking out in my high heels. I did not stay to see their reactions. Instead, I went to find the club manager, who looked at me nervously and asked, "Ms. Iverson, what brings you here?" I pulled out his cigarettes and lighter from his pocket, lit one, and asked, "Has room 666 settled their bill?" I already knew it had not. Shawn and his friends never settled their bill until they were ready to leave. The manager laughed nervously. Oh, that's Mr. Turner's room. They haven't paid yet. Mr. Turner's group always runs a tab here. This club was part of the Iverson empire, and the staff knew Shawn was supposed to be my future husband. To show their respect, they never charged him, instead adding his expenses to an account. Even his friends got the same treatment whenever they used his name. I flicked the ash off my cigarette and looked at the manager's ingratiating smile. Who gave him permission to run up tabs here? Are you planning to cover those bills yourself? The manager stared at me, dumbfounded. He blurted out, "Huh? Have them settle all their previous tabs," I continued, pulling out my phone and showing Blair's picture. Has she been here often? Yes, several times, the manager replied cautiously, unsure of my intentions. Everything was charged to Mr. Turner's account. I stubbed out the cigarette and said, "Don't serve her anymore." When the manager hesitated, I added, "She's a high school student, is that going to be a problem?" Blair was 19 years old and a college freshman. Such a bright and enviable age, at least for now. Without my financial support, though, I wondered how much she would have left to envy. The manager quickly shook his head. And no problem at all. Satisfied, I left the club, my heels clicking loudly against the floors. Sitting in the car, I leaned back as my phone started blowing up. I knew it was Shawn without looking. When I ignored the calls, he switched to bombarding me with texts. "Rowena, what's your problem? Come back and apologize now, and we can resolve this today. Looking for a fight? You think this is funny? Fine. Have it your way. Don't regret this." My driver caught my eye in the rearview mirror, asking where to go. As we crossed the bridge, I tossed the matching phone Shawn and I shared into the river. "Let's go buy a new phone," I said. When I told my best friend, Tara Sweeney, about what happened, she could not hide her smirk. She exclaimed, "I've been waiting for this. You could have been a queen, but instead, you chose to be Shawn's doormat. For what?" I grimaced at her words, but she was not wrong. I had given up a comfortable life to be his faithful puppy, and besides our childhood connection, the main reason I had stuck around was that both our parents approved of the match. Tara patted my shoulder sympathetically and said, "Move on, girl. Let's leave the trash in the past. We can be fabulous single ladies together." While she was great at comforting others, when it came to herself, she would rather dive into chaos headfirst than pep talk her way out. I did not plan on joining her single life escapade, though. I replied, "I'll pass. I've already set up a blind date for tomorrow." "Wait. When did this happen?" Tara asked, shocked. I waved my new phone at her and replied, "Just now." The first thing I did after getting my new phone was arrange a blind date. After all, now that I was done being a doormat, I needed to focus on my actual priorities. My top priority was simple: secure a good match, have a child, and ensure the Iverson family line continued. The next day, I got all dolled up and headed to Blair's college. When I informed them that I was withdrawing my financial support and requested that my contact information be removed from the guardian section of her records, the dean looked shocked. Everyone knew about Blair's difficult family situation and how my support had made her education possible. After all, I even covered her living expenses. My withdrawal of support would be devastating for her. I showed the dean photos of Blair at the club. I explained, "It seems Blair doesn't need my support anymore. Money doesn't grow on trees, and since she's clearly doing well financially now, I'll stop my sponsorship." Since it was an Iverson property, it was clearly an upscale establishment, and the dean's expression darkened at the sight. Blair was only 19 years old and in her critical freshman year, yet she was frequenting such places. It finally made sense why her grades had been dropping dramatically. A single night at that club could cost thousands of dollars, yet Blair had recently been competing for financial aid scholarships meant for underprivileged students. The dean immediately decided this opportunity should go to a more deserving student. After leaving the school, I headed to the coffee shop where I was meeting my blind date. My date was tall with broad shoulders, a lean build, and legs that went on forever, exactly my type. However, I froze when I saw his face. I instinctively blurted out, "Mr. Powell." Nathaniel Powell was Shawn's uncle. Since our families were close, I had met Nathaniel at several family gatherings when I was with Shawn. Nathaniel was Shawn's grandfather's adopted son, and I had had dinner with him before when I was still with Shawn. Nathaniel's sharp eyes scanned me from head to toe, and his expression was unreadable. Just as I was nervously planning my escape, he spoke in a deep, melodious voice. He asked, "Did you break up with Shawn?" When I nodded, he pressed, "A clean break?" I nodded again, feeling like I was back in high school being interrogated by a strict teacher. After a brief pause, Nathaniel said, "I've read your profile. I meet all your criteria." What? I stammered. Nathaniel stood up and said, "Let's go." Where? I asked, bewildered. "To register our marriage. You meet my requirements, too," he replied matter-of-factly as he loosened his tie. I was completely floored. How could I marry Shawn's uncle? That sounded like the plot of some ridiculous drama where someone married their middle school teacher. I carefully tried to find an excuse, saying, "Maybe we're not such a good match." Nathaniel's cold gaze lingered on me, pinning me in place. Panicking, I closed my eyes and blurted, "I just want a good genetic match to have a child. That's all I care about, really." Silence followed, heavy and awkward. Finally, Nathaniel spoke, his tone thoughtful yet serious as he replied, "If that's your priority, then rest assured. I get regular checkups, and I'm in excellent health. You won't be disappointed." I stared at him, speechless. "Or, if you prefer, you can give it a test run first," he added with a